If you're a premed with ADHD, struggling doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that you're using a study system that was never built for your brain. In this video, I'll show you why working harder may just make you burn out worse, and the framework that actually works instead. Hi, my name is Alanud, and it's very great to see you guys here today. If you're new here, I'm a pre-med student at UC Berkeley, and today I'll be your big sister that I wish I had, and I'll give you my advice that I have gathered from my undergraduate years. You all know the picture perfect studying methods, the YouTube videos that tell you that this is what you're supposed to do to study, or this is what you're supposed to do to be productive. But unfortunately, with a brain that doesn't operate like a neurotypical brain, those advice are not just not gonna work, but they're also very toxic because they hold you to a standard that unfortunately you'll never be able to achieve, not because you're not capable, but it's because you just have very different neural connections. For years, people told me to just buy a new planner, use calendars, use alarms or whatever, but unfortunately, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because my brain is different. And I haven't realized till recently that my neurology was literally fighting against me. I thought I was just lazy, but in reality, I was fighting a system that was not built for me. The traditional pre-med path was meant for neurotypical people, and I was not one. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're gonna have a prescription that actually works for your brain, not against it. We're looking at 3 lies that are holding you back, and then we're going to talk about the scientifically proven INCUP method step by step. Let's be honest about the problem here. Why does the normal education system make you feel like a failure? What is it about it? It's because the entire education system is built upon 3 pillars that are kryptonite for ADHD brains. And I call them the 3 pre-med lies. Lie number 1, consistency is key. You hear this from every professor, every gunner in the library. What do they say? Study for 4 hours a day, just block out that time and go to the library and do it. Unfortunately, for our brains, it doesn't work like that. We can't just go to the library and study for 4 hours. You can try, but you're not going to study for them. You're just going to go to the library, shame yourself the whole time, and not get anything done. And this is because our brains don't run on a fuel tank of importance. We do not prioritize like normal people do or neurotypical brains do. We prioritize based on interest. So if something is interesting, we're going to do it. If something is not really interesting, we have to find a way to make it interesting. So when you say just be consistent, it's like you're telling a car to just turn on without having gas in it because that's what the schedule says. It doesn't work. And this is one of the biggest lies I've seen. Lie number 2, eat the frog. The problem with this thing is that it tells you to do the hardest task first in the day, so everything else feels easy. Yes, it works for neurotypical brains because if you take away the largest task, you're gonna feel like everything else is easier. But what happens with ADHD brains is that you drain all the dopamine deposit that you have because you've done the largest task of the day. So yes, let's say that there is a lab report that is due tomorrow, but you also have 3 homeworks, and the lab report is in your least favorite subject. It's biochem. What happens if you start that early in the morning? Yes, you may get it done. Then you're never going to do all the homework. The other homework that is also important. It's because you're draining your dopamine before getting more. And that's just going to burn you out. This is not laziness. This is executive dysfunction. Lie number 3, the suffering metric. If you're not suffering, that means you're not trying enough. Oh my God, that irritates me so much. It's such a big thing in premed culture, being like, you have to do the most. You have to be drowning. If you're not trying enough, and you shouldn't go to med school. The problem here, that you're pushing yourself till you break, till you crash, and getting out of that crash is 10 times harder, 10 times more harmful than just scheduling and being easier on yourself. So it's not a good strategy. That is toxic productivity at its finest, because it teaches you how to ignore your body's signals that are there evolutionarily to warn you, to make sure that you do not crash, and you still ignore them and crash. So what happens when you try to follow these advice? So you go out, you buy that new planner, you start color coding your schedule, everything is great. But after 3 days, you just crash. You look around, everyone looks fine. You're the only one that is spiraling. You don't know why you're spiraling. Everybody looks like a machine. They're just doing whatever, they're taking notes, they're going home, studying, and they retain everything. You, on the other hand, you're going crazy because you cannot understand what's going on. You cannot study. You cannot sit down and do whatever you want. So what happens? You internalize the idea that you're not good enough. So you start saying, what? I'm not good enough. I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I shouldn't become a doctor. That's the cost that I was talking about. The cost to your self-esteem. We enter the shame spiral. So you procrastinate because you feel overwhelmed. Then you feel guilty about procrastinating. Then you feel guilty about not studying. Then you feel guilty about being overwhelmed. And then we go again and then again and again and again and again through that spiral. It is exhausting. It is a weight that we carry every day, too scared to tell people that we're struggling because people may perceive us as too weak or as non-deserving. I remember sitting in the library, looking at my physics note, trying to solve a problem, but I couldn't. I kept reading again and again and again and again, but my brain was not picking up any of the information because I didn't realize that I was trying to run Windows on my Mac. My brain was not meant for neurotypical advice, but I'm trying to force it to follow those advice. We need to stop trying to bully our brains into study techniques that were never meant for us. It's time to stop fighting your biology and start working with it. So with all of that in mind, what do we have to do? We have to replace discipline with dopamine. Dr. William Judson coined the term interest-based nervous system, for short, INCUP, which stands for interest, novelty, challenge, urgency, and passion. This is your new prescription. This is how you can study. So here's how you apply this. First of all, we have interest. Stop trying to read the textbook from the first page to the last page, from cover to cover. It doesn't work. You're not a robot. You have to make it interesting. So how do you do that? For example, I recently have to read my economics paper or economics book. So how did I do it? We had to learn about the gold standard. So what did I do? I started with the drama between Britain and the silver countries, the silver-based countries. And I looked at the dramas and how people try to figure out the gold system and the gold standard and people complaining and blah, blah, blah. I started with that. And because I started with that, I actually became curious. I wanted to solve the mystery. I wanted to understand what happened and why we ended up deciding that the gold standard was the best. And then the focus followed. I finished my reading in 30 minutes. I read 100 pages in 30 minutes, which I couldn't go past 10 slides the other day in Biochem, because I didn't find it interesting. You have to find a connection that makes it interesting to you. Next is novelty. Passive studying techniques like reading, writing, blah, blah, is useless. And it's a death sentence for an ADHD brain. It's just too familiar. You already know how it works, and it makes it boring. So what do? Find something novel. Talk to yourself like a crazy person. I literally do that. I talk to myself, I create stories. So, for example, glycolysis. What are we gonna do? So, glucose wants to enter the cell. So what it does, it has to get a ticket to enter the cell. What is the ticket? It's phosphate. And who gives the phosphate? Who's the bodyguard? Hexokinase, I think. I don't remember the names. But that's how you can make it interesting. You start building story, making everything that is very novel, very new studying techniques, new color pencils every week. Just make it interesting, make it new, make it novel. Another thing is try new environments. One day you're in the library, the other you're in a coffee shop. Maybe you want to go study at the Glade, which is our huge park. Just change the environment. Make it new, make it novel. Then we have challenge. So we all love a good challenge, especially ADHDers. That's why we love video games. Why are video games so engaging is because they're hard. They're challenging. We're trying to become better at it. We're trying to perfect our technique. And we're trying to win. So make studying like that. Make it a video game. Don't just write down, study for 2 hours. That's just too vague. Gamify it. Tell yourself, can I finish 50 slides in 30 minutes? Can I set the new record for how many drugs I can memorize? Gamify it. Make it like a game. I remember on my Anki, I had to download a Pokemon thing to make it interesting, because every time I finished a card, I could kill my enemy. And that just made me very motivated. But that is, you want to lock in. You want to keep score. You want to gamify it. Play it like it's a video game. Make challenges every day. Like, you know, those quests? Make the quest of the day or anything. Make something to gamify it. Make it challenging. Make it hard, because our brain likes the dopamine after doing that. Don't do your hardest task, but make something challenging. Fourth is urgency. So we already do that. Most of us already do that. That's why we procrastinate. We're trying to create urgency. We're trying to make it seem like it's faster, or like it's, oh my God, the deadline is in 15 minutes. Can I finish this in 15 minutes? That's your gamifying, and you're also creating an urgency. You're creating that adrenaline, that dopamine that pushes you to finish that. But the problem with this is that you can't live your life on crisis mode the whole time. It's just a lot of cortisol in your system that you cannot handle. That's just not healthy. So what do? You make artificial urgency. This is how I finished my thesis. So what did I do? I used GSI office hours as deadlines. So I would schedule like 3 million office hours. It's not the deadline of the actual paper, but 3 million every week. And because of that, I created urgency to do the project, to finish, to bring new questions to my GSI. And it worked. It worked, and I actually finished my thesis. I've actually worked on my thesis consistently the past semester because I created artificial urgency. It was not really urgent, but I put somebody else to check on my accountability, which made me feel like it was urgent to finish this task. And finally, passion. So passion can be just loving something so much that your brain is just in love with it, or loving a topic so much that you just can't stop studying. Or another thing, you can body double to create passion, because this connects it to a social aspect. So studying with other people can save your life, but don't study with the wrong people. Don't study with those narcotic gunners that will compare grades and just stress you out. No, study with people that you really care a lot about. that you're really passionate about, your friends, your closest friends. But they also have to be silent, quiet, and just working, and you're working. And because of that, their presence anchors you. It's just a weird psychology thing that happens to us, where having somebody else nearby working just makes us want to work, especially if we care about them, because we want to mirror that person. So it makes you easier to do a task. It creates this shared energy of focus because you like that person so much, or because you just care for that person. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that this will make everything easier. Med school is hard. College is hard. Being a student is hard. And having ADHD just makes it harder. There are going to be days where your executive dysfunction wins, where you can't pack and go to the library, and that's okay. One bad day doesn't mean that you're a bad student. It just means that you're human. You don't want to be a robot. You want to be a doctor. And trust me, some of the best doctors I've worked with are doctors that understand struggle, because empathy cannot be taught by textbooks. So hear me out. Give this a try and stop trying to use somebody else's map to navigate your own brain. I'm going to be documenting the rest of my journey and my struggle here in Berkeley and how I dealt with it. In the comments, please tell me, what is one of these toxic habits that you're gonna let go today? Is it the waking up at 5 a.m. or is it the constant guilt? Let's talk down below. Hopefully you can use these strategies, implement them, and make a change. Make a difference in your own life. It's not always going to be perfect. You're going to fail. I fail all the time. I struggle all the time. But that's what makes life beautiful. But when you persevere and don't blame yourself, it's going to make the difference in the world. If you enjoyed this video, please check out my last video that talks about my experience studying abroad and what I've learned from the 3 years I've spent here at Berkeley. Thank you for listening. I hope you like this video. Subscribe, share, and like, and see you next time. Bye-bye.